All right, we're going live. No bells, no whistles today. Or less bells, less whistles. A little bit sick. I think we're going to have Bass Cannon joining us in a little bit as part of the co host broadcasting team. See if maybe we can get a little Josh Fulton action in as well. We'll go from there. See, look, I'm actually in the pit. Oh, facing the right way for once. I don't even need to change that up. Let's see who the first victim on the grid tonight is going to be. I see Rev and Slay are the first brave ones to load up onto the track. So we'll find out shortly how that fares them. So, long race tonight. Going to be Hungaroring. They got a little bit of... if you have the permissions to join the channel, Dino, I think you can cover for Base until he joins us. If you ain't too busy. But I did promise him he'd get slot 2 tonight, so once he's back, I might give you the shape of Italy there. Let's take a look at the event details while we're waiting. Fuel rate 225, damage 45, so these guys are definitely going to have to take a pit into consideration. I'll take a moment to hop on to the correct camera there. Oop, that's what I'm looking for. Driver name's off. Accidentally took a screenshot. But here we go. We got our first racer brave enough to start moving. It's going to be Rev 174. And we'll see what the cat drags in. I should actually share my broadcast. There. Sorry, I gotta share it to the thing there. Alright. Oh, I mean, Dean, you don't gotta do it. Like, base is coming, I think, at qualifying, so it's really only a little bit, but totally up to you. And we've got Rev, first one to tough it out. I do see we got Slay behind them, Project behind that as well. Don't see any track names popping up on the description, so it might be up to us to name a few of these corners tonight. Sure, we'll have a few viewers who do know the names, but if I don't, we're just going to have to run with it. So once Rev gets all the way back around, we'll start to take a crack at that part. We got plenty of time to figure it out, about an hour until the race begins. Again, this is going to be one long one. So we'll have our typical 30-minute practice followed by a 30-minute qualifying session. Plenty of time to find some pace and mess around with tires. And Rev coming around the final bend, the easiest of the two sections of the track to name. Second easiest being the start-finish straight, which we watched Rev come across to be the first one to put a hot lap attempt on the board. Through turn 1 and down the innard. That's what we'll call this one. Through the first spoon. We'll call this the elf. Just seems right. As they head to the back. I'm just going to keep it simple today. Tight left-hander in to the blank pin, hairpin. I hate saying that word because I know I butcher it every time. That's American in me. Through the chicane. We'll call that the tight chicane because it looks like we've got, or actually the chicane into the S's. There we go. Gotta check out Slay. What's Slay got going on? Oh, see how the competition's doing. I see what you're saying. Slay making his way out of the S's. call it. First one of those Peter, the second one Frampton. Those are some wide bends. And into the outards. The other one was the innards. We'll call this part the outards. I think we've named a track. Are they good names? No. Are we going to use them anyway? Absolutely. So we do have a newcomer on the grid here to shake some things up. They don't really have a chance at winning the overall season, but they can affect the points. It's Jackie back here in Todd Moonmounce's Ferrari with the sticker bomb livery there. We've seen some incredible pace out of this car and this racer since their debut a few weeks ago. I don't see the Hungarian names, or I'd give them a crack as Jackie heads through the chicanes and into the S's. Man, this car is glued to the floor. You can see it is following his every command, really being delicate there on and off the gas. Great control. I don't think we've heard the tires squeal just yet, although a little bit of a wiggle there. So could be, yeah, Dean, I think you guys are going to start to get some serious points in the Manufacturers Cup. Although you're not in the top 3, you're not necessarily out of the hunt. 3 big races here could go a long way. And let's see, for an outlap, we've got a 2:19. So got quite a lot of time to shave off here to the point where we're not going to get a good estimate on the Delta. So we'll depart from Jackie through turn 1. Head over to Project Purple, working his way into Peter. And out of Frampton. Don't know why that was in my head, but that's where we're at. As we actually have 2 cars going into the outers together. That's going to be Bot Lando looking to get in close with the Audi up in front. Now, I'm not too familiar with who's going to have the advantage here. I haven't been seeing the times other than the fact that Jackie seems to be blowing away some of the competition. No, Peter Frampton. So, longer story there. But Lando coming flying by in the orange GTR. So I haven't seen a clean time from Bot Lando yet. Maybe a cut, or actually that was only an outlap anyway, so likely wasn't pushing too hard throughout that part. Got an 11 kilometer an hour. All the others are just curve 1, 2, 3. Yeah, mine are way big, way better, way more straightforward. Except for this one, we'll call that one curve. Just, and this can be, man. Oh no, that was blank pen into the chicane, which both racers managed to keep all 4 on the floor nicely for as they continue the chase through the S's. Looks like that GTR's got quite a run up here. Bot Lando not looking for the chance to pass just yet. Looks like that GTR is going to be on medium tires, and I think so is the Audi. Yep, you get a better shot of the yellow as they come around the bend into a bit of sunlight. 20 minutes remaining of practice. Only a few racers brave enough to head out onto the track so far. We do have a few more here than are on that leaderboard. We actually have 9 racers currently in the session, not including your broadcaster car, of course. Looking absolutely great there by Lando. Still hasn't found the run past Patchy, although I'm not, or sorry, Project Purple, but I'm not sure they're actually looking for it, to be honest. Let's take a look over at Patchy since we've accidentally called Purple by his name a few times. Man from across the pond, or one of the men from across the pond, as we've got Osh Garrett also, I think, participating. And I'm not sure, but I want to say we've got at least one other. I think Jackie Back might actually be from across the pond as well. So definitely some strong representation from the EU side of the grid. These NA guys are going to have to maybe even work together as show a little bit of dominance. I don't see Boat on the grid, but then again, he's known to join in the final moments of qualifying and still have one hell of a turnout. So we'll see if that is the plan and if he's able to do so again today. Very early on into the event as people are starting to loosen up. We do have 2 Porsches, 3 BMWs, a GTR, an Audi, and a Ferrari. So still looking for a Lamborghini to show a little bit of love. And we'll have the main contenders all here for the Manufacturers' Cup, at least. Let's take a look now at some of those BMWs as we have Hunter getting struck with a little bit of broadcaster's curse right as we dial in. We've got the number 13 car with the classic grocery sponsorship swinging through the outer or into the outer. Wording might get a little confusing, but we're still rolling with it. You can see a few of these joke sponsors: Holy Moly, Oli Vans, Car Fee. All of these are, I believe, made by Jazz Monkey, one of the other real rookie racer members we have, typically racing in the EU events, though. So not one that we typically see in our broadcasts. But you can catch those AI streams. The links get posted on the community Discord channel. And you can tell I'm sick tonight. So 14 minutes in, we're starting to see where the pace can be. Jackie back with a 146.1, well ahead of Project Purple in the Audi, who does tend to be towards the higher side of the qualifying time. So we'll see if that gap closes up at all. Just a little bit of improvement from Project on that last lap. Still has a little bit more to go. We do see Bot Lando was capable of a 146.2 during some of the private practice laps. So we'll see if the car can get back into temp and wind speeds can maybe go a little bit more in their favor. Taking a look at some of the other racers, see who else may have done some laps in the off time. We do see Slay is currently still 0.2 off their personal best. As we're still with Hunter going out of the outer this time. And around into the final straightaway. So up on their time, we'll see Hunter put a real lap in. Ends up with a 149.7, so not too far off the action. Speaking of, we are still sitting at only 9 racers on the grid. Now, a lot of guys still have to use drops and things. So we will see if maybe this longer one ends up being the race that some of these guys choose to call it quits on. So Hunter takes a little bit of a dive through the inner, and we'll give them some space to focus. Bouncing over to Fudzy heading through turn 1 in the BMW. Fudzy doing pretty good in the overall competition. Let's take a look at their standings. They're currently 55 points leading the amateur class, with Hunter at 54 right behind them. So Hunter's actually looking in a pretty good spot, as Fuzzy hasn't set a clean lap yet. Fuds now knows that they need a 149.7 to beat, at least to send a message here in practice. 14 minutes to do so, but Hunter's going to start to chip away at that time as well. Behind them is Big Bean Energy, who we've had in the chat tonight. Seems like they will not be a part of tonight's race. They did recently release I think, press statement, we'll call it, explaining that their team has chosen to focus on later events to maximize their opportunity at an overall victory, since things are starting to get pretty close in that competition. Speaking of close in that competition, Slave 40 looks to join that battle. I think with one extra drop being used, as they've already done both drops, so they'll have to perform in all the remaining races. So currently sitting at 45 points, but not out of the hunt at all. So it'll be interesting to see next week, once all of the drops are not calculated but projected, where the standings lie for the final 2 weeks of racing. So today is a big one. You definitely want to get some solid points on the board and not use this as one of your drops, but rather a chance to move up in the standings, because it's not going to change too much once we add that second round of drops in today. All confusing, but it plays out in the end. Looking at other battles going on, we have the Inferno and Miguel Cicerone fighting it out in the rookie class. Neither one currently present. We have Project Purple looking for a run at Seb Bellew, and Bot Lando, I believe, looking for a shot at Tommy Boy, but Tommy Boy will not be racing, so few guys won't have their counterparts kind of pushing them to do a little bit better. Patchy and Project Purple, though, are close together, so Patchy only 2 points away from Project Purple, hoping to have a better show today. And we'll sneak over. Trying to think of who we haven't checked in with yet. I think the majority of the grid we have. It's been a little while since we looked with Jackie back, though. Rumor has it they were able to put a 144 up during a practice session at some point during the week. So eager to see if they can recreate that time today at all. Interesting. We see Patchy on the side of the road there, out of harm's way, and letting some of the grid go by. Might have been trying to just come to a full stop so they can get back to the pits, as we're still waiting for a few more to join us. A lot of time left for people to join, and we did have quite a few testing the waters. Ooh, as a little hiccup there from Jackie back. I think this is an outlap, so really just trying to maximize the run in for a heater. And we'll stick with them as they push pretty hard down the front straightaway, already getting just a touch more speed than their best lap so far. So those tiny few hundredths will help out in the long run, as they find themselves with a nicer line through turn one, heading down the innards. A nice break just around the 50 marker. Give them a clean exit through Elf Corner. Heading back out, or heading towards the back, I think we called it. Takes an aggressive line through Curve, but manages to power through, keeping the car within limits through Blancpain into the chicane. I'm just going to call it blank. carrying a lot of speed and aggression in this car. I'm not sure. It does look like we still have some clean sectors going on according to the live timings. We've seen a couple of close ones, but might be able to follow the one tire in rule. Currently with a purple sector too. So those 6/10, 7/10 now that we're seeing are coming from somewhere. Almost a full second is going to shave off this time, so no question that we're going to be in the 44s. But could it even be? No, 43 I don't think is going to happen. We did see it creep up to 1 second for a moment. But now crossing the line with a 44.6. So definitely going to send a message to the grid as far as they are here to compete and to get Ferrari just a few more points here in the back half of the season. Not unusual around this time of year to see teams swap out drivers. The most notoriously, the infamous removal of Danny Ricciardo without warning or fanfare by VCARB, setting up Liam Lawson with a 60-place grid penalty. All in the name of upgrading the car and setting things up for next season, which is still a few races away, but we all make choices. No need to vent or rant here. Taking a look over at the live time is we've got 10 racers now preparing to be partake in today's events. El Garito the Great now joining to make it 11, I think. As we see a few guys who still need to get out on track and put a few laps in. I'm seeing a few guys creeping towards those 146s finally. Hopefully they can make that happen sooner rather than later, because Jackie has seemed to found their comfort with the Ferrari. A car that I'm surprised we didn't see more of in use this year. Sorry, this season. We do actually run multiple seasons a year. Rev 174 in the 903 car, sponsored by 050. Not confusing at all as they head down towards the back straight, pushing way wide through Curva. I know that one's going to be a track cut, and they'll have to refocus their energy onto learning the track this lap, but pushing for a tighter time in the next one. We do have the other man from across the pond, El Garito the Great, going to be Patchy's counterpart in this season. Let's see, they've got a number 7 and Patchy's got number 93, so that is going to be our defining differences. I'm really looking for anything bigger. It looks like we've got red on the side of El Garito and orange, I think, on the side of Patchy. So a few things that'll let us know at a quick glance. Thankful that these guys have set that up for us. As El Garito out on their first hot lap attempt through turn 1. El Garito in a private practice session was able to hit a 146.8, so still about 2 seconds shy of our current lead time. But who's to say what happens when these guys are all fighting together? Pit strategy always comes into play. That Ferrari, heavy on fuel, heavy on tires, so going to be something that could come to bite it in the ass. I know that BMW, gentle on both, might not have the pace, but if any of those BMWs can get into a fighting time, I'd say about a 147, 146 range mostly, that that could be enough for them to stretch it all the way. I'm not familiar with how well the GTR or the Audi will be able to do that. Audi might currently be sitting with the best chance as far as strategy, a strategic win goes. A strategic win is all anybody seems to be able to hope for now. 4 minutes remaining in practice. Nobody has come close to that 144. El Garito the Great here had a decent outlap, but it looks like the hot lap attempt here is going to fall short of greatness. I think maybe about a 148, 149. Okay, 147.8. So bridging the gap between purple and the rest of the grid, but needs to be on the other side, needs to be bridging that gap between Jackie and the rest of the grid. So we'll see how that Porsche can do. They've certainly been racking up the points in the Manufacturers Cup. Actually, we're not in the top 3 in the previous season event and find themselves comfortably in it with a 3-point lead to BMW now in P3, trying to chase down Nissan up front, and then going for the gold with Lamborghini as of now not on the grid. So taking a little bit of comfort in their stretch up front. Bullet with a little bit of a wiggle through the final turn. This isn't going to be the hot lap for them, but at least they are set up decently for a good run here. 2 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, so they'll actually get 2 more chances. The only one really who might be slightly worried about that is Rev, who we've checked in on a few times. Let's take a peek over with Jackie back. He's going to be trying to work his way through an outlap here. He's got a few cars in front, and with his pace, he needs to keep those cars, I'd say, at least 5 seconds away from him, but he's also got someone on his tail that he's not going to want to impede. So a delicate spot to be. Has to kind of balance the preferences here, as we see Jackie actually starting to get a little bit closer to the Paper Cup Porsche of Slay in front. Slay nearly a 6-second a lap different in personal best from Jackie in the number 28 Ferrari. I don't know. This is going to be interesting. I think Jackie's going to be able to make it past Slay, but the question is, can Jackie catch up to Bullet slightly further ahead there as they head through some of the final corners here? I think that was Frampton that we just went through. I think Jackie is starting to realize just what's at stake there. Actually going to pull aside for a moment. They see just how many cars are coming behind. Oh, interesting. And they're deciding it's not worth it. Now, their tires are going to get cold if they wait too long, so I can't say I blame them. Apache's actually going to be one of the last few to make it around with a comfortable amount of time to set one more clean lap attempt. Running off a little bit there, but not going to matter, as this won't be the lap that matters, or the important lap for the number 93 car, or rather this one that he's trying to head on to, guns a-blazing now. Apache across the line, 18 seconds left. I see one other racer who's really trying to get there. It's going to be Hunter, cutting it close. 10 seconds remaining. Will they be able to crack the code here? And it seems like they're not going to take the chance, so we won't see an improvement from Hunter. We do see Bullet and Slay both out for their final attempts at practice. There will be an increase in track temperature, a change in wind coming shortly as qualifying begins. Hopefully a second broadcaster as well, so you guys don't have to hear my Oh, and it looks like we will be down. I think we might see if Mr. Josh Fulton will be available. I'd say 50-50. Mostly just trying to get a second commentator because I know my sparkling personality not as bubbly today, but we'll get there. So practice didn't go too well for some of these guys here. I'm going to be stepping away from the PC for just a moment, but we've got Jackie back in the Ferrari, not only setting the pace, but possibly setting a whole different class to the event today, as they are comfortably in the lead, with honestly having us hope to see a familiar Lamborghini making a surprise appearance, but only time will tell, as these guys have a little bit of a wait period here as they get to prepare things for qualifying, set up, drop the fuel, probably tweak some of the final pressures and stuff. 30-minute qualifying stint, so they are going to be able to make a few attempts at a hot lap. You see some of these guys do it strategically. They'll only fuel up for about 2 or 3 attempts, try and make a change or two, and head back out. Others, aka your loyal broadcaster Buggy, myself, will just throw the setup together with regular fuel, but the soft tires, and just stay out for as long as possible until they get to the final minutes, where they'll head in for one quick low fuel fresh tire attempt. It is a bold move, as it fully depends on getting free of traffic, but sometimes it pays off. So it looks like we've got up to 20 on the track now, so not a huge change. We did go down to 4 km/h wind though, so a little bit less to affect the cars. That will probably overall help them out if I had to wager a guess. We do see a few more guys starting to line up on the grid there. 11 cars in, 0 to hero in the GTR, one of our latest to join. Hasn't head out for their lap yet, but they are present in the pits. Starting to beef up just a little bit. All right, let's get back into this sucker. We've got Botlando in that 98 car, making it look pretty easy there through Frampton, heading towards the outer. We do have one car ahead. That's going to be Jackie back, looking to set the tone with one of our first hot laps on the new track temps. Air temperature now up to 15 degrees Celsius, so we'll see if that changes anything about their ability to draft or affect each other in the long run. Do see 0 to hero now has made his way out in the GTR, so that's going to be at least someone to keep some Botlando, to keep Botlando a little bit of company. As again, we have confirmed the other GTR of Tommy Boy will not be joining us tonight. We'll let Botlando head off a little bit further onto the grid and see who's coming up behind. None other than Hunter in the number 13, as my announcer bot has let us know. Carrying on with some beautiful speed through the innard. and down the on the way back or to the back straight. He manages to keep it in the line through Curva, something that we've seen a few racers struggle with today. If I remember, I have done one race here in a Z4, and that was the bane of my existence, Curva specifically. So good to see that these guys are able to get through much easier than I am. It does sound like that Porsche is coming in strong, though. I think that's going to be Patchy in the number 93 car. Not going to be too aggressive as we are in the early stages of qual, but I'm sure he's going to look for a way around. If I'm a Hunter and I see him coming, I almost don't want the pressure of that Porsche in front, and I would take a tow down this back straight, so I might try and let him through, but it doesn't seem to be the plan, as Betchy might be slightly further than anticipated. So Patchy now across the line. Day 149, so going to be one of the first ones to step towards Jackie, but El Garito the Great showing that the 145s are not out of reach. That is a strong point there. That will certainly help out in the long run if he can just creep a little bit closer. So he's got to find 2/10 now in the next 25 minutes to at least send the message that he can get within striking distance of that Ferrari pushing 144s. Now, I'm not sure if Jackie's lead in practice was anything like what we've seen with the Lamborghini even. So we might have a new stage of aggression up front. That's going to be tricky. Oop. But El Garito manages to get around his teammate, aligning with Zero to Hero in the GTR. As it seems, Zero to Hero's livery keeps glitching out. I've noticed every time I look, it's got a different emblem next to the Nissan badge there, or a different livery symbol. But El Garito did manage to find a little bit of time here. I think it might be enough, as even Lando finds himself a 145.3 in the GTR. So everyone just needed a little bit of time here. Jackie still has a decent lead if he can get back to that 145 or 144.6 that he showed us earlier. But the grid's definitely starting to respond. I see a lot more movement. Seems like everybody's waking up. This is Zero to Hero. We see him back out after a little collision with the number 93. Yeah, Lando definitely snuck one hell of a lap in there with a purple sector 2. We'll see how Jackie responds, knowing that Ferrari, it actually won't be long. In fact, I'd imagine, yes, it looks like they're actually currently preparing for a lap, heating up the tires a little bit here, trying to put some distance between them and the guy up front. Currently, everybody is out on the grid, so they don't have to worry about someone rejoining and ruining the gaps that they've built up. So there's a delicate line here. You don't want to push too hard. You don't want to start to catch up and build the little gap you've built to get a few clean laps in. But you also don't want to let your tires cool down too much. So we see Jackie walking that line to the best of their ability. While they do so, a few more races are going to come across the line. We'll see if we get any movement in the scoreboard here. Nothing just yet. We'll see El Garito the Great a little bit down on their lap. Same with Hunter right behind. So no movement from them. Fuzzy coming through, hopefully with a clean lap here, because that would be a good one for them. Does look like they'll put up a 148, so they'll at least be on the board. And Rev 174 not able to find the pace. Well, 21 minutes remaining. A lot of time for these guys to make some changes. But here is the moment of truth. So this is where that big gap that Jackie has built up comes into play. We'll see where they end up in relation to Botlando in front. Takes a different approach to turn one, gives them a lot more acceleration as they line up for the turn through innards. And carrying a little bit of speed through L's. They are currently down on their hot lap, but only by a little bit. As they push wide through Curva, might have been too wide. Hard to tell. The way they're driving doesn't look like this lap is over just yet, so they're going to keep powering through as we head towards the chicane. This is going to be some crucial moments here. They are losing a couple hundredths at a time, and it's starting to add up. 2/10 back, where they need to be about half a second ahead. So it doesn't look like this is going to be the lap as it stands. But struggling to find time through Peter. Couple hundreds back through Frampton. Needs to find a way back on the pace, and he does. Going into the outers, Jackie is right back into the hunt. A little bit of a hiccup through the turn of outers, but back in the green. Still has a chance as we head through the final turn. A 10th up now, nearing 2/10. It'll all come out to the acceleration here. It's going to be close. Will it be enough? It is just enough to respond to the GTR. I know that's not going to be a lap that Jackie is happy with. A single hiccup is one hiccup too many. So Jackie going to head back to pits to tweak a few things and see about cranking into the 44s. Let's take a peek now over at El Garito the Great. 2/10 up on their time as we head through the S's. Ooh, and Broadcaster's Curse strikes strong. Able to get out of the way as you heard the engine of another car roaring close behind. We've got the Porsche here of Project Purple looking for a way through blank. It's going to be an outlap, but Project is normally right up there with these top guys in qual. So I know Project's going to be looking to get that half a second back if they can. Being able to do so would go a long way, especially if I'm right about the fuel and tire usage. So beautiful through Peter and Frampton here, taking the time to settle in. You can see they're not pushing anything too hard, just trying to find their normal line through, exploring the track a little bit here. And this will be the moment where Project is going to start to lock in. You can see a little bit more aggression in the exit. Those are the tracks that Project has won or been a part of a winning team for on as part of the Real Rookie Racing career. So we've got Ottawa, we've got Biker Nike. That is ready for the next one. This was the 1967 layout of Norge that we did. And we've got 2 wins at Interlagos, as well as a win at Macau. So quite a decorated livery there. I think maybe even out of date at this point. I'm not entirely positive. Was that the Macau win? Was that the one that you and I had the incident in, Dean? Or is that a different one? Yeah. Yeah, I think I have one, and it was like when we were doing the mixed bag Saturdays. So I I could fit all mine on like a single panel of a car. Hell, I could probably fit all the podiums on the single panel of a car at this point. So, oh, GT3. Okay, I see. 16 minutes left. Jackie back, still looking to gain a little bit more time, or rather shave off a little bit more time if he can. All it comes down to is getting or making up for that little hiccup that he had through this turn in Outards, which he does decently this time. Surprisingly, not enough to get into the green anymore, though. So he'll have to either line up for one more attempt or head back into the pits. I'm not sure if he's just fueling for a single lap attempt or going out for 2 sets here. All right, looks like it's going to be 2 attempts. Damn, Dean, that's a tough track to do that on, too. Hairpin aside, that's got a lot of tight turns and those walls close together. Well, as I'm pretty sure we saw in the MX5 season race, that a lot can go wrong in Macau, and even if you're perfect, you get at the mercy of the guys around you. So luck has to be on your side too. Oop, as we see the temperature change 15 minutes in. So now 23-degree track temps. A big change from that 19, then the 20. Now we have a 4-kilometer-an-hour wind still, but a bit of a tailwind down the back straight. So the one chance these guys get to open up the throttle properly. We'll see where that number lies during the race itself. This has locked in the temperature settings for the remainder of qualifying. And we'll see if that higher track temp allows these guys to get some quicker times or if it starts to send things in the other direction. Yeah, MX5 season tracks have certainly been entertaining this season. I will say street tracks, as much fun as they are to broadcast, it's one of the tougher challenges that we've put a rookie server through. So we are thankful for everybody kind of bearing with us and sticking with the fun on that one. Project seeing that they've got a little bit of time behind or between them and the man behind, going to try and make the most of the opportunity here. I feel like we've been watching these guys a lot. Let's try and take a peek towards the back of the grid. We've got the Paper Cup Porsche of Slay coming around for a hot lap here. Still one of my favorite liveries of the season. We haven't seen the other Lamborghini in recently. I want to say of Floaty. But definitely definitely a close second as far as the custom ones we have on the grid go. Reminiscent of a simpler time. Ooh, it looks good even as it slides out through the blank turn as we end up with Project Purple once more. The man knows how to be on camera. But we're going to override his wish and jump over to the GTR of Zero to Hero. Oh. Don't know why I'm dying so much today, but we are. 0 to hero. Currently a 10th down after turn 1, but plenty of time left to make up for a little bit. "11 minutes of qualifying remaining. Still haven't seen anybody putting up those 44s yet, although Bot Lando, currently in pits, did have a purple sector 1. Rev and Patchy in the middle of the amateur guys, they are pretty close there together, and they are definitely a little bit further back than where you typically expect to see them. See Rev currently not setting any new times on that lap. Patchy looking for a chance on this one. He'll have some improvements here. Might get him up in front of Fudzy, but definitely needs to get up closer to those 46s to be a part of that battle you're having. Slay being 2 seconds off of Fudzy is certainly not something I was expecting to see. I'm not sure if that Porsche is just struggling to make it around or feel comfortable for him. This track does feel a little bit less fluid than some of the other ones that we use in the season, so I could certainly see that being a factor. And Jackie creeps a little bit closer to the 44 now with a 1:45.218. Bot Lando is going to see that as they get closer to some of the final turns in preparation for their next hot lap attempt. We don't want to leave a racer while they're on a green streak, we'll call it, but Slay up on their time currently as they enter the chicane, struggling on the edge of improvement, but certainly, or sorry, Patchy struggling on the edge of improvement, but I was going to say something they were able to do, but it looks like they weren't confident in that one. Nothing wrong with that. Good to reset sometimes. Bot Lando taking a different approach through turn 1. We've seen it before with Jackie, and it does pay off for Bot Lando here, currently in the green, heading in through the inners. And carries the speed through Elf. This is the moment of truth through Curva. Oh, that looked pretty wide to me. I don't think that's going to be part of a clean lap. Still pushing as hard as he can as we head towards the chicane. Keeping an eye now on the on the live timing site to see if we're still on a clean one. Have not seen an indicator as far as the cuts go just yet. As we head through Frampton.
We did notice that Patchy's out there on the mediums as I scare the crap out of Buggy.
Hey, how we doing?
And instead of running the softs like everyone else, I wonder if that's where a little bit of the discomfort is coming from.
How was your race?
Oh, it was frustrating. But well, what can you do?
Yeah. Where are you at these days? This is Josh, by the way, has joined us as a fellow broadcaster for those unaware. But what's your I rating at here?
I think I'm hovering around 1400. I haven't really driven much this week, so I moved my rig over by the window so I can get a fan in there, and then hopefully cool down the office a little bit.
Very nice, very nice. Good improvements all around, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm not sure how much you've been tuned in, but perfect time for a recap as we head into the final 7 minutes of qual. We've got a longer race tonight. Jackie put up a 1:44.6 during practice, but hasn't been able to get there during qual. Botlando and El Garito are doing pretty good at getting close, but not enough to give him a real scare just yet. Botlando did hold the top time for a little bit, but Jackie has since responded. Project Purple and Zero are dangerously close together, but neither one close to the top 3, so we might have a little small pack there with Patchy trying to nip into that time. And we've got Fudzy, Rev, Hunter, and honestly Slay all pretty close together within a second or so of each other, or 2 seconds of each other, and then Bullet as well. So not too much going on tonight. Only 11 on the grid so far. Don't see the Lamborghini of both.
Yeah, it's unusual to not see him on the grid. But it is a longer race, right? So anything could happen. Maybe we'll see Boat jump in with the last 2 minutes left. Maybe he'll use this as one of his free passes. But
yeah, we do have a lot of confirmed free passes this week. We won't have Tommy Boy fighting for position with Botlando. Won't have Big Dean Energy fighting for position with Slay and Fudzy and Patchy. I think it's a 3-way battle there.
yeah, and I know Patchy's coming back after being off for a couple weeks after his birthday. So we'll see.
Hunter's
We'll see
time.
what turns out.
Yeah,
What turns out on the grid tonight.
Yeah, sorry, it's Fudzy, Hunter, Big Dean, and Slay. That's the 4-man battle shaping up to in the amateur class.
One thing that's a little interesting is I do notice that Jackie up at the top time there is running a lower top speed. I'm wondering if he set his car up a little bit more for some stability through these consistent curves rather than the straight line on the front of the track there.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that. I was actually still on him because I noticed that, and I'm curious to see if he's topping out on the straight here. Because he's doing this without a draft. If he does find himself behind somebody, he could top out pretty early on. Oh, and looks like we're not going to find out today.
Yeah, it looks like he did improve a little bit, still getting closer to that 144. He's got a 145.1 in there that lap. Still about 2/10 up on Botlando. And 7/10 up on El Garito right behind them. I am still curious if Patchy's aware that he's running just the mediums. His top time and all of his practice laps, or all of his laps after that have been done on that medium compound.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible that he's just not comfortable with the softs, or he's aware that he's going to be using the mediums for the race, so it just doesn't seem worth his time or worth the possible positions. We do know Patchy is a pretty good offensive driver in the sense that he finds nice opportunities to get by cleanly and manages to apply the pressure and force a mistake rather than to cause one that takes both racers out. So
yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, it is the 45-minute event today, so it is going to be not a lap 1 battle, not an early battle to win this race. It's really going to be to stay clean and keep it on the track. So
yeah, and keep it on the track. They have been doing so far. You also missed, there are no track descriptions, so I've taken the liberty of naming all of the corners, which I'm sure you will appreciate. So we'll start it up once we get around to the final corner, because I don't want to spoil any surprises for you.
I'm excited.
Patchy can be our tour guide in the number 93 car. So as we head through the final corner into the start-finish straight here, everybody will get a nice rundown as to what turns we are referring to. Josh, I have a feeling you'll catch on quick. This is turn 1 here, as Patchy finds himself a few tenths shy, but with some decent acceleration. Still plenty of opportunity as he heads through the innards. And a clean line through Elf down towards the back straight. Now curve is the tricky one, but he manages to keep it within the limits as he swings it through blank. Still struggling with his delta, not able to find a green time just yet. Heading through the chicane and into the S's. Now, Josh, are you ready for a curveball here?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've been
Throw
following
it at
so
me.
far. Patchy swinging through Peter with a nice easy right-hander through Frampton. As he heads into the outards. And out of the outards. And into the final corner.
All right.
You follow?
All right. Yeah, I got it.
All right.
I think I catching on enough here.
I feel like Peter Frampton's the only tricky part. I don't know why, but it happened, and now we're there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Hungaroring actually has any specific corner names. I just went and did a quick search here, and I'm seeing them all listed as just turn 1 through 16. So you're
Yeah,
more creative than the original track descriptions. So
Dean was mentioning that where was that? There's one corner called Mansell Corner, turn 4. So the big one, turn 4. So what did they? 1, 2, 3.
that's
So it's probably this one.
the curve.
This one? Oh, the one I'm calling curve.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is
This one is
Mansell.
Mansell Corner.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we're still calling it curve. Man, look at the amount of tire tracks going out wide today. We've definitely had quite a few guys run off in practice and qual. We'll stick with 0 to hero here. Oop. And see if they can finish out on top. We do see Rev sending a friendly message in the chat to keep in mind that a pit stop will be needed. Speaking of pit stops, I am going to make one real quick before we kick things off. I'll leave you in the capable hands, Josh Fulton. I mean, I can still chat.
Like looks like Zero abandoned the lap there and went straight into the pits. Looks like that'll be the end of our qualifying session as we go into a 45-minute race with one mandatory pit stop. We'll see how the fuel consumption is for these guys and whether or not they're gonna have to squeeze in a second one.
I did not look at the
You
EU
know,
results to see if they ended up having to do it too.
yeah, I'll pull them up here real quick. I know some of these tracks with more aggressive throttle input do have a higher fuel consumption, so it is possible that a second pit stop may be necessary. It does not look like they did during the EU race, though.
Just one
Looks like they
stop.
can go about, yeah, looks like they can go about 14 laps before they have to go into the pits. So
That's not too bad.
looks like we're looking at about 25 laps, based on the EU race this afternoon.
Have you been following this season at all?
A little bit. I'll put the race on Fridays normally. Normally I hit the bed pretty early on a Friday at the end of the week, but I've been watching the streams whenever I can.
Very nice, very nice. Always appreciate it. I'm curious to see where the track temps and wind ends up here. I think I noticed a couple guys pull into pits after the change to address some tire temp stuff because it did go from 19 to 20, so you don't really have to make too many adjustments. But once it went up to 23, you want to tweak the pressures a little bit. And we'll see where it ends up here. I think 25 is the max they can face here.
Looks like the configured temps are going to be in the range of 24 to 26 for the track.
Okay.
So
we'll see where it ends up.
Who knows where that wind's going to be? So
that's always the fun part here. Now it wasn't at any affecting levels for most of qualifying. It was during practice, and that could have been what was helping Jackie get that top speed a little bit higher into the 44s, but only time will tell. I know Botlando's going to be looking for that consistency there, hoping to stay consistent low 145s, as that'll be key for everybody really in this race. But it looks like it's time. We'll have to head back here to grab the grid. Momentarily, we have probably Osh the Great, bouncing back into the grid as is tradition. Followed by, Jackie up front, Botlando, our ghost Osh the Great, who hopefully will join back in a moment. We've got the Audi of... Did he join back in? He did. Okay. Audi of Project Purple, then Zero to Hero. I want to say Patchy, Fudzy, Rev, Slay, Hunter, and Bullet in the back. 15 seconds left, so let's head over to the front where Jackie back will take us away for week 5. We're getting close to the end here.
Do you see El Garito's currently got an insanely high ping, so hopefully that levels out by the end here.
That seems to be his tradition to start the race. We got one hell of a start though, as he is quick off the line, well faster than that Ferrari, so that'll give him the advantage through. Project Purple looking to follow him, has to cut the inside of turn 1 just a little bit. We're with Jackie back, who's seen himself falling further and further behind the grid here. This is incredible. So guys are pushing real hard, real quick. We don't see too much dangerous contact, as everybody just trying to hold their own, but Jackie losing positions left and right, just trying to keep Patchy behind him now if he can. Patchy going to be forced to think about the bump draft. Wow, as El Garito has well more of a lead than I thought he would. We see a few racers going wide and a big collision there, as it looks like Hunter and Bullet are the ones caught up in that, as we see Slay 40 powering through. We'll switch back over to Botlando through the chicanes with the rest of the grid, as we see them all jockeying for position. Now Jackie's in a tricky spot. Jackie's going to be relying on open opportunities to get by, but it seems like the straightaway is going to be deadly for him.
Yeah. The straight's definitely going to be a little bit of a disadvantage based on those top speeds that they were encountering, but his sector 2 and sector 3 times should be really good with that higher downforce setup that he's running.
Yeah.
I'm almost curious if... No, go ahead.
Not to cut you up, but it looks like something might have happened with El Garito the Great, as he finds himself back in the clutches of the big pack going all the way down to P7 currently.
Yeah, I see that his sector 2 time's about 1 second slower than Botlando. Um, so the entire advantage that I gained in that first sector is gone with that launch. With Botlando catching up in sector 2.
Yeah, and that could be that speed that we saw in qualifying there. Botlando being the closest one to Jackie Back's time. Speaking of, we see Jackie Back has taken a position away from the Audi of Project Purple. Now looking to get even with Zero to Hero in front. And we do see Hunter and Bullet have slowly caught up to Slay, within reasonable attacking distance. Lot of race left. We didn't get a chance to address, it is 24-degree track temps and a 6 km/h headwind down the straightaway. Not really a lot that's going to affect these cars, but certainly nothing that's going to help them, because that is, if you think about it, a 10 km/h change in wind force on the car versus what they were experiencing. So might see a slight difference.
Yeah, we see Botlando sticking his nose in, looking for every advantage of putting that pressure on El Garito at the front there. Looks like he's sticking his nose in almost every corner here. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if that GTR has just a little bit more pace than this Porsche does. So hopefully El Garito has the consistency to keep ahead. Otherwise, that GTR might make his way by.
And we
Uh,
currently see the Porsche 911 has a top speed, I want to say 9 km/h slower than that GTR. So Botlando's certainly going to have an opportunity on this long straightaway at some point. Ooh, unless he can find it sooner. Tries to get a little sneaky with it.
yeah, one thing we can see here is the GTRs and Jackie and that Ferrari and even the Z4s further back are running those soft compounds um, instead of the mediums that we see on both the Porsche and the Audi. I know the Porsche and the Audi generally have a little bit more problem with tire temperatures and overheating those tires on softer compounds on longer stints. And the GTRs and the Z4s tend to be a little bit more tire friendly. So the pace advantage may be almost entirely tire compound based right now, but we do see the GTR Botlando here braking a little bit harder than El Garito would like. We see him closing that gap and having to slam on his brakes in order to not run in the back of Botlando here.
Yeah, now I was just going to say Zero to Hero has been a nice little barrier, so to speak, for these guys. Not letting Jackie back all the way through. Jackie being overly cautious at the moment, really giving a lot of space to that GTR, and keeps finding himself behind him again, as he's not really getting through just yet. And you know, that wasn't too bad when Josh was the one setting the pace, as that wasn't letting Botlando go free. But you can see already Botlando starting to creep away a tenth at a time. This could be the start of a dangerous lead here to Jackie.
Yeah, that pace advantage here on those GTRs. We'll have to see how the consistency goes, but we do see Zero to Hero go a little wide there. Fortunately, it was at the end of the straight, so Jackie couldn't take advantage of it. These
Yeah.
delta times are still very close. El Garito is slowly dropping back from Botlando. He's about a second back now, but it's about a half a second gap all the way back through P4, P5 at this point. Before the gap to Patchy here, which is about 4 seconds back from Project Purple in that Audi.
Yeah, and I know it's very early in the race. We're only about 7 minutes in, not even. But those guys P6 and down are definitely going to start to think about alternative pit strategies, going for undercuts, getting whatever extra advantage they can out of the car. That being said, it is a battle of classes, so not everybody is fighting the same battle. Patchy, though, certainly needs to find a way to get the upper hand on Project Purple.
We do see all of those Z4s grouped up together, but there is some contact here between Fudzy and Rev.
Ooh,
Um, oh, oh, and there goes Zero.
and I didn't get a good glimpse at who started that. Oh, and finds himself in a dangerous spot. Ends up in contact with Rev. We've got one more car coming through. Oh, and who do we have up front here? Is that El Garito the Great?
That is El Garrido.
So
Looks
I
like
think he
they
was waiting.
keep spinning here.
I
I
think
think he
El
might have
Garito
overheated
was.
his.
I think El Garito was waiting for Project Purple, and then yeah, Project was losing a little bit of control of the car. Well, that certainly led to an interesting change in position for both of them. That's quite unfortunate. Or sorry, Zero to Hero, not Project Purple. So Zero and El Garito are going to find themselves well on the back foot there, 10 seconds away from Slay, and having to go on the hunt for the rest of the pack. They might end up working together, though, and that will help out as far as they won't be having to battle. Bot Lando finds himself at a 3-second lead before Jackie is able to start the hunt. So we'll see how that ends up helping out in the long run. Jackie already trying to chip away at that, a 10th at a time with a purple sector 2 going 38.250. Quite a lot of speed coming out of that Ferrari.
Yeah, I think that higher downforce in that Ferrari is gonna be majorly helpful in the second and third sectors in comparison to the GTR. Uh, that said, Botlando did just set a purple sector 3, and Jackie came in a half a second behind that.
And that's going to be a 146.3, Jackie with a 146.5. So both racers still have plenty of fuel in the car. It's going to be a little bit before they're at weight to start thinking about some hot lap opportunities. Both of them seasoned enough to probably be conserving the tires a little bit as well. I'm sure, although Botlando is trying to preserve the lead, I'm sure we're not seeing everything the car has to offer just yet. As we see,
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure these guys are holding back a little bit, just trying to keep consistency going more than anything. Um, Obviously, El Garito and Zero to Hero that got sent to the back with that incident are gonna have to push until they get caught up. We still see there's a 5-second gap between Zero and Slay, and Slay is another 7 seconds right now behind Hunter. Looks like the grid is splitting up quite a bit here. Jackie's holding consistent at that 4-second gap, 3.5 to 4-second gap, to Botlando in front of him. We do see Jackie did set another purple sector 2 here, though.
yeah, that seems to be where he shines.
Yeah, definitely. We do see quite a big delta difference on the sector 1 time, though. We see about 6/10 different on sector 1, and he's only about 3/10 faster on sector 2.
Well, that's not going to be enough, and it'll come down to sector 3, which goes to Jackie this time around, but Botlando does hold the purple sector 3, so we know he's capable of a little bit more. Currently watching the battle between Hunter and Rev. These guys are not currently fighting each other for position, but definitely Hunter could use the tow to get up to Fuzzy and P5 ahead. So definitely can't cost himself too much time in this battle. Needs to either get ahead or help Rev get by with him. As Slay is starting to catch up as well, the other one involved in this battle.
Yeah, and keep in mind all three of those guys too, Fudzy, Rev, and Hunter are in that BMW, so the manufacturer cup, they can definitely work together to get some extra points in there.
Yeah, as it stands, we have a very diverse top 5, so no manufacturer really stands a strong advantage. Does seem like anyone's game still at this point in the race. We do see some small chances for advancement across the grid as Zero looking for a way past the Paper Cup Porsche. You see El Garito the Great lurking in the back. A little bit of contact there, but both racers managed to keep moving. We'll have a little Porsche on Porsche battle for a moment through the chicane and into the S's. This is a tighter part of the track, so Josh is going to have to be a little careful here before he can make his way through, giving Zero a nice chance to roam free and start to chip away at that gap to P7 and the BMW Mafia taking up P5, 6, and 7 ahead.
Yeah, definitely. We can definitely see a little bit of the frustration growing in Josh here. He's got about a second of extra pace in both Sector 1 and Sector 2 on Slay. So Slay is definitely holding him up right now. So Josh is definitely going to be looking for an overtake here, either at the end of the straight or early in this coming lap.
Yeah, we see even being behind Slay for Sector 3, he was almost 2 seconds or over 2 seconds faster. So this could be that moment right here where Garito moves through with a little bit of ease. That number 7 car heading towards the innards. And you can see he's really getting aggressive now. I think desperate to make up some places, trying to get at least back up to 0 in front. So that'll be a nice battle to watch play out. I see Hunter and Rev still having their moments as we head towards the chicane. It's going to be one hell of a shot to go for, but they managed to work together to let that one go by cleanly. As they battle through the S's now. Rev's not going to give the position up easily. He did allow for the switch in places momentarily, but he's going to fight to get that back probably sooner rather than later.
Yeah, looking at the best lap times here and even the previous lap, it looks like Rev's got a little bit more pace than Hunter Hunter did on this track right now. But Fuzzy is slowly pulling ahead even further from Hunter. Looking at the laps here and the positions, it looks like Jackie is maintaining that 4-second deficit to Botlando.
Ooh, and Botlando actually just puts up a purple Sector 1, which is going to help him keep that.
Yep, that's another 6 cents faster than Jackie in that first sector. Looking down the grid, no one's any closer to him than Jackie, other than it looks like Project Purple is about a 10th faster in that first sector. But he is currently 14.5 seconds back on Jack.
Yeah, I think Sector 2 being as long as it is really is the key one to hold on this track. So that is really helping Jackie out in the long run to keep hanging on to that lap after lap. Even if it's not a new purple sector, he does seem to be holding the pace over Botlando. And it is likely the way that that Ferrari handles through the chicanes as opposed to the GTR.
Yeah, definitely. We can see that the pace difference between Sector 1 and Sector 2 is almost identical. And meanwhile, they're putting up relatively similar Sector 3s. So realistically, the gap at the end of the lap is about 3.5 seconds. But by the time they get done with Sector 1, and even at the end of that front straight, actually, Botlando gains about a half second on it. And then over the course of the lap, Jackie ends up taking that back there.
Interesting. So they're basically just switching back and forth here.
Yeah, Botlando gets that half second on just that front straight, and then Jackie ends up getting it all back throughout the rest of the track. So it's really going to come down to pit stops and maybe the undercut. We'll see if somebody can push a little bit better on the the full fuel tank after the pit stop here.
And speaking of pit stop, we are getting an interesting timing situation here as we get closer and closer to where you'd think we'll see the pit window open. But these guys are actually started to close the gap. So now the undercut strategy is open to the cars up in front. But for these guys, I think you're going to want to stay out as long as you possibly can and just hope to God you can build up enough of a lead with the momentum you currently have. You can see Rev
Looks
looking
like
for his chance on Hunter. Oops, sorry.
I was just gonna say it looks like Botlando may have made a little bit of a mistake here because that gap is close down to 3 seconds on those front runners.
Yeah, I do see that now. Botlando doing a good job of keeping it out of the 3-second range as Zero goes way wide through
And
Frampton.
looks like he was getting a little aggressive there trying to get those places back. But Josh actually takes advantage of the situation. It ends up to P7 from the P10 that he was back in a while ago here.
Yeah, and Hunter knows that he needs to be at the front of this pack or at least follow it all the way through. Oop, and Zero is going to be our first one to pit here.
Yeah, it's going to be
They will set
interesting.
the bar.
So this 10 to 11 lap that they're at now is going to be approximately the halfway point for fuel consumption. Earlier, we saw that they did 25 laps on a single pit stop. So I'm not sure if a full fuel tank off the bat is going to
give you 15 more.
Gonna give you 15 more at this fuel rate that we're running.
It is a dangerous strategy, but one thing is it could trigger others to adopt that same dangerous strategy and could pay out in the long run. But I do agree with you. I think I'd be looking to get at least 3 more laps in. That way I'm comfortable knowing the outcome of the earlier race. Now, obviously, these guys have been pushing pretty hard, so it might be difficult to get 3 more laps out of the cars. Something
Yeah,
you
I
gotta
think
try.
if I was planning, if I was driving, I think I would have started on a full fuel tank, and went for the long stint first, just to allow the faster laps when my tires are already a little bit worn. I'd have a little less fuel to worry about on those worn tires.
And we did miss it, but it looks like both Botlando and Jackie have gone past Bullet as the first of the lap traffic of the evening.
Yeah, and it looks like the gap has extended back up to that 3.5 to 4 second range. So
I forgot I got a drink. Been dying over here for no reason.
oh yeah, I should probably do that too. I've been muting to cough and coughing to mute.
Yeah, that's how she goes. So Rev's starting to fall back a little bit from El Garito. El Garito needs to make up 13 seconds to Fudsy ahead. I think El Garito is actually up against Jackie and Botlando. I think not in the same class as anybody else in front. So really a long way to make up. But honestly, with the pace he's holding, he could be able to possibly get within range. Ooh, we see Jackie go in a little bit early.
Yeah, if we look here, we see looks like Josh is putting up about 148 twos. But Lando's last lap here was his best lap at a 146.2, so almost 2 seconds faster. Meanwhile, Jackie's last lap was a 150. But he did go into the pits on this lap, so.
Yeah, that definitely could have a role. I am just watching to see where he comes out as far as traffic in front. I see someone else in the pits with him. That's going to be Bullet in the Audi. So he does come out in a decent spot. P5 with 5 seconds to the cars up ahead. I think he's hoping that they all pit within the next lap or two, as that would put them with their current personal best versus his current personal best. I think he could afford for them to stay out for 2 laps before they become too much of an issue. So
yeah,
we'll
definitely.
see. Sorry.
Nothing. I was just agreeing. I don't know if we'll have any real contention for those front runners here. With the gap between Botlando and Purple here being 28 seconds. There is 20 minutes left and anything could happen. But it looks like those two are pretty set in the front, so it might be a battle for P1 and P2 for them. But we could definitely see some of the rest of the group here catch up to Project Purple for that last podium spot to fight for it.
Yeah, and speaking of that, on the last lap, Patchy was almost half a second faster. Fudzy was 2/10 faster. So definitely a couple of guys from behind who have the pace. I know El Garito is still quite a ways back and would have some ways to climb, but he's currently putting up 147.9s with a personal best of 146.9. So it stands to reason that there could be an opportunity. So Botlando, after pitting, actually finds himself 5 seconds ahead of Jackie back. So not having to put as much fuel may have helped with his pit opportunity. Jackie now 4.6 seconds back. I think was 3.1 when he headed into the pits, right?
Yeah, it was in that 3.5 range at the end of the lap. So we'll have to see when it comes to the end of this next lap what that gap is at. But it looks like it's at about a 4.5 right now.
Yeah, and we see a few
So,
guys getting ballsy with it, going for another lap without pitting.
yeah, I think this is pushing that fuel for these drivers to see just how much how far they can take this car. But I'm also not entirely sure what the fuel burn looks like in these specific cars right now.
Yeah, that is the one downside of not having an accurate fuel display for these guys currently. It would be nice to know where they are at. Hunter and Slade, these guys are in an actual battle for points here. Hunter's been slowly creeping up, now only 1.3 seconds away from the Paper Cup Porsche. A little bit of a mistake there, but is able to keep it on the track and keep moving. Project Purple, the current leader, pulls into the pits as Patchy tries to stretch it for 15 laps. You almost got to wonder what's he thinking there.
Yeah, I mean, he is running that medium compound tire. Maybe some of these guys on the softs are pitting for tires more than fuel at that 13 lap range. But it is every liter of fuel that you don't have to put in the car, you save time on that pit stop.
Now, one thing I wonder, is Patchy trying to burn down enough time to where he can throw on a set of softs?
That's also a possibility. Right now, if he was going into the pits, he would be about 10 laps remaining, maybe 11. So it looks like they're on lap 15 right now, if I'm reading correctly.
Yeah.
And we saw We saw 25 laps in the race earlier today.
Patchy doing a good job of letting Jackie catch up here, whether he means to or not. And the unfortunate part for Botlando is he's probably going to pull into the pits soon, so he might not be able to perform this same favor. This might be your light a match and run type of situation from the 93 car. As he says,
Like
I want one more.
looks like he's going to take one more lap out of this.
He is not
He
done.
is still putting up consistent laps. But I'm wondering here if Patchy is intentionally, just trying to disrupt the flow here a little bit to allow the battle to continue at the front, and in turn, if they're battling at the front, that would in turn allow him to catch up later after his pit stop, especially if he pits onto those softs.
Yeah, it would. It certainly would at least give a lot of people behind a chance to get moving. I do see El Garito the Great is still able to stay out in the Porsche, and so is Slay. So maybe the Porsche just has the best fuel consumption of the group, as I think even the BMWs have gone in at this point. I think it might have been something originally overlooked, but these guys are definitely doing a good job of using that strategy to their advantage. Ooh, as a
And we see
little
Patchy
net
go
code, I
wide here.
think. It does show contact with Jackie back on the screen, but I'm going to say that might have been netcode looking at the ping on the live timings. Patchy, unfortunately, gets spun there and caught by the incident. Now has El Garito the Great, there's fellow man from across the pond, starting to catch up.
He did get to play spoiler here, though. It looks like that gap between Jackie and Botlando closed down to about that 1.5 to 2 second range.
And with only 15 minutes to go, this is going to be a tight one. They were basically holding each other off, but it's a lot more comfortable to do that with a 4-second gap between you. Then
Patchy and Josh are going around for another lap here, lap 16.
this is incredible. I mean, that is going to save them a lot of time as far as the fuel goes, but you can only save so much time because you do still have to change your tires unless they think they can go the full race on them. And that's why they went for the mediums all along. But Botlando currently doing a good job of holding off the Ferrari behind, keeping that lead at roughly the same spot.
Yeah, it looks like Jackie was about a half a second faster than Botlando on that last lap. I'm wondering if there's a little bit lighter fuel load in that Ferrari.
It's certainly possible, although I will say that might have caught the tail end of the battle between Patchy and Botlando. So that could also account for that poor experience through turn 1. Currently, we have a decent gap growing here. It looks like, per usual, Jackie takes sector 2 and sector 1 goes to Botlando. Much more even this time around, though. Doesn't look like any clear advantage.
Yeah, it looks like about 2/10 either way, instead of that half second we were seeing earlier. I'd be curious to see what happens coming up through here. It looks like Patchy's going around for another lap.
Are they both? They are indeed. Well, it looks like we're starting to get a little battle forming there, but before that happens, I think Zero is going to look for a move through the BMW at an interesting time. Oop, as manages to play a little bit of ping pong there, as the Audi struggling to get out of the way. Gonna have to line up that move one more time. Jackie now hitting the 2-second gap for the first time in a little bit, so Starting to get a little bit more comfortable for Bot Lando. Nearly a little bit of contact there with Zero and Fudzy. Zero really trying to find a way through, but he's just got a monster of a car. There needs to be a lot of space. And that BMW is small and nimble. It can plant itself right where it needs to. As Zero goes for a late braking opportunity. And you can see the glowing brakes on that GTR, but he does pull it off cleanly and manages to move through and finds himself ahead of the entirety of the BMW pack at this point, with only a Porsche in front that still needs to pit. I think he's going to find himself in a comfortable P6 relatively shortly. Speaking of comfortable, that's something that Patchy isn't allowed to be, as his teammate now hot on his heels. Oh, and they take the teammate role seriously. Patchy, understanding the pace that El Garito is bringing to the table today, lets him go.
Looks like El Garito
Now,
goes in for the
wait a
pits, but
minute.
Patchy is going around for another one.
Do we think that was the plan all along? Was Patchy holding up the battle not for himself to be able to catch up, but for El Garito to have a little bit of a better opportunity? Oh, and there goes that opportunity. As we overshoot the pit box there, conspiracy theory goes out the window.
I'm absolutely shocked that Patchy is still out there on his first tank of fuel, though.
I do wonder if we're going to have a Lightning McQueen moment between the Porsches later on, but was
Be
Patchy? I
curious
don't
to
think
see
Patchy
if.
was in the EU race, was he?
Let me pull up the results here. I don't believe so. No, he was not in the race this afternoon.
All right, so going off blind faith, Patchy still staying out strong. Project Purple is his main competition. Now, these pit stops seems to have taken about 30 to 35 seconds, if I'm interpreting the timings correctly. So, still going to have quite some time to make up.
Yeah, and it looks like Jackie is gaining about 1/10 of a second right now per lap. Between Jackie and Balando. We'll find out at the end of the straight here how much that gap is, but Balando did just put up a purple sector 3 a full half second faster than Jackie.
Yeah, which is interesting because the previous lap actually was
Zero.
Zero with a spin there. Unfortunate. And a little bit of contact with Fudzy, it seems.
So one thing that's interesting right now is both Slay and Patchy have yet to pit at this point. Patchy is going around on lap 19 without entering the pits.
Oh, wow. Patchy, yeah, is still out on the track there. That is an interesting move there. You'd think at some point you just want to get it out of the way. But neither Porsche seems to feel the need to.
Yeah, we see Slay is out in front of Josh still here and doing the same thing.
I mean, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to be swapping to soft tires at this point for
with about
the
5
final.
laps remaining. Yeah, and it looks like Josh also switched to the softs. So.
Okay, so we are past the point where they would need to be concerned there.
But it looks like Josh's gap back from Project Purple for the tentative P3 here is about 25 seconds, and he's only got about 5 laps to make that up. He's got a pace about 5 seconds per lap faster than Project Purple, or hope for Purple to make a mistake or run into some dirty traffic.
Yeah, and his pace is quite quick, but Project Purple is starting to get comfortable in the 48s. It's only 2 second a lap difference between their projected lap times at this stage, so it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough without a little bit of interference or grace of God, if you will. But
Yeah,
Fuzzy now
at this
looking for.
point, it looks like Project Purple could lift and coast a significant amount to just play the race safe and still end up in that podium position. But Patchy is still out with 20 laps complete. Patchy is still out on the track.
Going for 21, I see. Power to him as we see the Paper Cup Porsche getting passed by the BMW of Fuzzy, now the current target of the GTR of Zero to Hero, who we've seen outbreak a few on this corner before. And he'll add one more to his list, although the Paper Cup Porsche does not give up easy. Going to keep a nose in, so it'll be close between these guys as they head towards the innards. And
Looks
Zero
like that
trying
GTR's
to.
got a little more acceleration than the Porsche on these corner exits.
It does, and that's quite unfortunate for Slay as they find themselves now a little bit further back. Still
Ooh.
over 30 seconds ahead of Rev and Hunter and in need of a pit.
We do see Josh put up a purple sector 1.
Interesting. 37, what does that say there? 8?
37.8.
All right, so creeping into some crazy times there, as I remember 38.2 was one of the ones we were impressed with earlier. So these guys are
Yeah,
definitely experiencing the lighter fuel loads and the nicer tires.
it looks like that's only about a tenth faster than Botlando's previous sector 1 as well. He does set a personal best sector 2 as well, so I'm wondering what kind of lap time we could be looking at here for Josh.
As we see, Hunter has a little bit of a collision with the environment. That's going to put him way back and be huge for Slay. Now, when he goes to pit, which will not be this lap either. Are they one stopping?
Yeah.
There's no way. Or no stopping?
I would be shocked. We're running a 225% fuel rate.
Yeah, I thought we definitely put enough there. We've been talking so much about the projected lap times. We have been looking at the actual gaps. Jackie Back is actually 5 seconds away from Botlando currently.
Yeah, it looks like he's been slowly falling back. Best lap time, Josh did just set the purple lap time at a 1:45.6 during the race here. Both Jackie and Botlando both have 1:45.9s for their PBs. But Josh is still 19 seconds back from Project Purple. Project Purple is another 12 seconds back from Patchy. If Patchy can manage to do this without having to pit for fuel.
No. The fuel on the dash isn't always accurate,
Oh.
Dean. Sorry.
Looks like Patchy is going into the pits this lap, based on the track map here.
And we see Zero with a little bit of a spin. Slay going to be a gentleman and pull back rather than try and find a way around. But you are correct. Patchy is going to pull into the pits there. Let's see where that costs him. A great stint. So that's 22 laps.
Yeah, I anticipate he'll come out just ahead of Fuzzy here.
Do you think we'll see Slay as well?
But he is doing a tire change. So, yeah, it looks like he's going to come out just ahead of Fuzzy. So El Garito the Great, Josh, is going to get through here in front of Patchy and keep pushing on for that challenge on Project Purple and try to catch up to him. Project Purple is a full 37 seconds back on Jackie right now.
Yeah, and
we're
there's
about
no chance of a second pit from those leaders with only a few laps remaining. I think we're looking closer and closer to our final standings with only a battle for P5 starting to shape up, depending on how Patchy performs in these final few laps here.
Yeah, I mean, that battle for P5, though, it could go all the way back to Slay here in P8. Slay is still out on the track without a pit.
Yeah, that is the one I'm curious about. I'm not sure if we see any fuel saving just yet. We'll try and peek in. As we see on the dash, fuel level says 20, which I'm going to say is a lie.
So there is in the content manager, in your apps panel there is a fuel level app built into CSP.
I think that one is hooked to my car. Where was that one? I don't know. Well, we'll look for it for next week, though.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
we're
for
getting
sure.
close to the end here.
It's also possible it only works with AI races. So.
True. 0 to
We'll
hero
have to
getting
test for
real
that.
close here to another opportunity. I think we're going to see a classic dive into turn 1. I think 0 wasn't sure if they'd need it that time as they squeeze Fudzy a little bit wide. Fudzy not going to take kindly. Oop.
Slay did stay out for another lap here. He's going on 24 laps on that tank of fuel.
That is interesting. Well, I'll be curious to see if he's able to make it as far as he thinks he is, because it seems at this point that he's just trying to take it all the way. Possibly a little bit of fuel saving.
Yeah, he's going to have at least one more lap here.
The leaders have started the lap. I think looking at the top times versus the time that's left, this is going to be the final lap that they are on. These guys we are watching now are still going to have to make their way around once more, and Slay is behind them. So Slay certainly banking on the fact that he'll be out in front of the leaders. This is going to be interesting because Slay's going to have an extra lap, but I don't think Rev will.
No, Rev is not going to need an extra lap. Being behind the leaders here.
Now, if Slay pits, right, Slay will cross the line. Oh, Slay doesn't care. Slay's going for it. All right, never mind. I was going to say Slay will cross the line and will have technically started one more lap before the leaders cross, depending on where the pit box is. So that might have been a strategy there. Slay doesn't care. Slay's just going to go for it. We are definitely in our final lap of the race. So Bot Lando now 6-7 seconds ahead of Jackie, trying to navigate their way through somebody around the innards. As I'm sure there's a little bit of side-by-side action going. We can't be disrespectful. Bot Lando with a huge win crossing the line in that 98 orange GTR. Absolutely stunning victory. Todd, Moonbounce, and Rev, it looks like, crossed the line shortly thereafter. We'll look now at Project Purple trying to make their way around. And it doesn't look like too many other battles shaping up. So we'll head back over to Fudzy now as we look through the S's, trying to get back up to 0 to hero. They've fallen off just a little bit, but nothing too crazy. We do see Slay is still in motion, but they can fuel save all they need to now because they're going to finish a lap ahead of Hunter and Rev. They just need to make it around.
Yeah, and we do see he is gaining speed on these straights, so he definitely does have enough fuel left to at least get a little bit of acceleration in here.
Yeah, we do hear him in the distance, so he's coming all the way around. He's going to go for it. And we still hear an engine.
Oh no. Did Purple leave?
No, we do still. Project Purple finished P3, Josh finished P4, and Patchy 0.
Jackie left, so it moved everybody up.
I still see Jackie as P2.
Yeah, I'm looking at the
Oh,
live
the what
timings.
lifetime. I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's going to be the end of the 45-minute event at Hungaroring. Honestly, a crazy turn of events. Jackie did look like they had the pace to try and hang on, but Bot Lando found that consistency in the GTR that we were talking about at the beginning of the race there, able to keep those 145s, low 146s when it counted, and takes home the win today.
Yeah, we saw a lot of really good consistency. Unfortunately for some of these guys, there was that incident towards the start of the race, and that set them back. We did see Josh make it back up within about 10 to 12 seconds of Project Purple at the end of the race there. So,
Yeah, well, certainly an exciting one. We're going to get the standings all sorted there. We'll see what's going on there. We're going to investigate Slay's car just to make sure that there's no hanky panky with that second fuel tank that he hid in the boot. And
yeah, I
we'll
mean,
get back to you guys for the next one.